The dojo smelled of polished wood and sweat, a quiet sanctuary in the heart of Seattle's bustling downtown. Daniel Harper, a wiry single dad with calloused hands and a tired smile, adjusted his faded GI, the white fabric fraying at the cuffs. He wasn't here for Gloria, only to keep a promise to his 9-year-old daughter, Lily, who watched from the sidelines, her eyes wide with pride. Daniel had been training in Aikido for years, not for belts or titles, but to find calm in a life stretched thin by factory shifts and hospital bills. Tonight, though, the dojo buzzed with something electric. A visitor had arrived. Elliot Grayson, billionaire tech mogul and 8th Dan Aikido master, stepped onto the mat, his presence commanding silence. The man's wealth was legendary: a software empires, private jets, a rumored island or two, but his Aikido credentials were even more intimidating. And 8th Dan wasn't just skilled, they were a force of nature, blending power with grace. Whispers rippled through the dojo. Why was he here, in this modest community center, among hobbyists and beginners? Daniel barely noticed. His focus was on Lily, who clutched her sketchbook, drawing him as a stick-figure samurai. He winked at her, earning a giggle. But then Grayson's voice cut through the hum. "You, the dad in the back, care to spar?" The room froze. Daniel blinked, pointing to himself. "Me?" His voice was rough, like he'd just swallowed gravel. Grayson nodded, a faint smirk playing on his lips. The other students stared, some with pity, others with envy. Sparring with Grayson was like dancing with a hurricane. Daniel hesitated. He was blue belt, competent but no master. His days were spent wrestling with machinery, not legends. But Lily's eyes sparkled with excitement, and he couldn't let her down. He stepped forward, bowing respectfully. "Only if you promise not to cry," he said, flashing a grin that hid his nerves. The room erupted in laughter, even Grayson chuckling as he adjusted his black hakama. The spar began. Grayson moved like water, fluid and relentless, his hands guiding Daniel's attacks into effortless redirects. Daniel, to his credit, held his own, a grit over finesse, heart over technique. He stumbled but didn't fall, his focus razor sharp, not for himself but for the little girl cheering silently from the benches. Grayson's smirk faded, replaced by something unreadable. After a few minutes, he called a halt, bowing deeply. "Not bad," he said, loud enough for everyone to hear. "You've got spirit." The dojo resumed its rhythm, but Grayson lingered, watching Daniel return to Lily, who threw her arms around him. "You were awesome, Dad," she squealed. Daniel ruffled her hair, his chest tight with love. He didn't notice Grayson approaching until the billionaire crouched beside Lily, admiring her sketchbook. "You're an artist," Grayson said, his voice softer than anyone expected. "Mind if I join you two for a bit?" What followed was the first twist. Grayson didn't talk about Aikido or his empire. Instead, he asked about Lily's drawings, her school, her dreams. Daniel, wary at first, found himself opening up about their life. How he'd raised Lily alone since her mom passed, how the factory job barely covered her art supplies and medical checkups. Grayson listened, his eyes sharp but kind, like he was seeing something beyond the words. Days later, a second twist arrived in the form of an envelope slipped under Daniel's apartment door. Inside was a letter from Grayson's foundation, offering Lily a full scholarship to a prestigious art school, plus funding for her medical care. No strings attached. Daniel's hands shook as he read it, tears blurring the words. He'd never asked for help, never expected it. Why would a billionaire care about them? The emotional climax came when Daniel returned to the dojo, Lily in tow, to thank Grayson. The billionaire was there, practicing alone in the dim light. Daniel, voice thick, tried to express his gratitude, but Grayson waved it off. "You think I sparred with you because I wanted to win?" he said. "I saw you with her. You fight harder for that girl than I've ever fought for anything. That's real strength." Just a broken bar wanted to be part of it, even for a moment. Daniel realized then that Grayson, for all his wealth and skill, was searching for something money couldn't buy: a connection, purpose, the kind of love that binds a parent to a child. The billionaire's life, polished on the outside, felt hollow in ways Daniel's never could. In that moment, Daniel didn't feel small or outclassed, he felt seen, his quiet sacrifices honored. The story spread through the dojo, Then the city. People talked about the billionaire who bowed to a single dad, the man who found wealth in a child's smile. Daniel and Lily's life changed and her art flourished. Her health stabilized her, but what lingered was the lesson they carried forward. Kindness isn't a transaction, it's a spark that lights up the world when you least expect it. Years later, at Lily's first art exhibition, a painting hung at the center, a stick-figure samurai and a little girl, holding hands under a sky of stars. In the corner, a small figure in a black hakama stood watching, smiling. Grayson was there that night, not as a billionaire or a master, but as a friend. And when Lily hugged him, whispering, "Thanks for not crying," the room laughed, hearts full. The world keeps turning, full of noise and struggle, but moments like this where selflessness meets humanity remind us that even the mightiest among us are lifted by love. Daniel and Lily walked home that night, her hand in his, knowing they'd been part of something bigger than themselves. And that was enough.